and then see who comes in.
Excellent.
So welcome and good morning. We are here today for a core team meeting. This is Town of Bridgewater's hazard mitigation plan. I'm sure some of you are familiar with this, and so this is with partnership of Old Colony Planning Council. Let's see. So Old Colony Planning Council is a regional planning agency. We assist communities and towns in planning for present and future needs, utilizing our local knowledge, technical expertise, and regional collaboration. I'm joined here this morning by my director, Lori Muncie, and myself, Elijah. We are working on this project, this plan with Bridgewater, and I'm happy to do so. So Old Colony Planning Council, just a little overview for, I know Nicole wasn't in on the last meeting, and for those who watched the recording, we serve 17 communities through natural resource and environmental planning, transportation planning, comprehensive land use planning, economic development, geographic information system services, and we have an area agency on aging to assist our elder population throughout the region. Some of the core team members that have either been directly or indirectly involved in this process are joining us this morning, as well as those you see on this list here have helped to make this possible. I won't go into the all the details with, HMP stands for Hazard Mitigation Planning. It's really assists with disaster preparation. We are living in a constantly changing climate. And so as we see, natural disasters around the country, most recently we saw the tornadoes going through the Midwest. What does that mean for our region, and what kind of hazards and natural disasters should we be preparing for and planning for? And this ultimately helps maintain funding from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, also known as FEMA. And to bring it locally, just to review, 2021 has been warmer and wetter. It's actually one of the warmest, on a yearly basis, we've been seeing that the annual temperature just keeps climbing, and that adds to different reasons that the climate changes. July was the wettest, rainiest month, ever recorded in Massachusetts history. So what does that mean for our region going forward? And so with this MVP plan, or HMP plan, we had a list of goals that we wanted to achieve. And to review those for Bridgewater's goals, the first one was to be prepared to reduce the loss of life, property, infrastructure, and cultural resources throughout the town, from natural disasters through a multiple hazard mitigation program that involves coordination, planning, education, and capital improvements. The second goal, to incorporate hazard and climate change vulnerability into capital planning, master planning, and facilities management functions, and implement proactive solutions to adapt to climate change. The third goal, to investigate, design, and implement projects that will reduce and minimize the risk of flooding. The fourth goal, to organize and prepare to adequate shelter, water, food, and resources in the event of a natural disaster, making sure that we have all of the functions to aid and assist the community. The fifth goal, increase awareness of hazard mitigation activities among town officials, private organizations, businesses, and the public through education and outreach activities, which is one of the things we're doing right now, is to have this kind of presentation, record it, and be able to, publish it throughout the community so that folks know what's going on and how Bridgewater is working to prepare. And I won't go exactly through everything, but pretty much this next section is looking at some of the strategies and actions that we have in association with the goals that I just read through. And so this action plan had measures that kind of look through how much would each action cost, the funding sources, what departments would be involved, different partners throughout the community or in the town that can also be involved, and then how long would that specific action take to be implemented and maintained within a 5-year period. And then beyond that, some of the categories for the action plan portion of this hazard mitigation plan just looked at, the types of projects, the different critical facilities and the protection of them, the different community components being infrastructural, societal, and environmental. And then the different hazards that are addressed, Massachusetts and the Northeast is prone to nor'easters, that's where the term kind of comes from. So the heavy storms that barrel through the community, the high winds and rains, and how our communities can then protect against it. Even tornadoes, it's not as intense as what we've seen over the weekend in the Midwest, but I mean, even, in the Cape, sometimes, water spouts might touch down and stuff like that. So and earthquakes, sometimes we can feel a tremor every couple of years. So who knows how those things kind of develop in the future. It's always good to kind of just think about it and figure out how our community is planning for it. All right, so this next section, we have an actual plan, and it's very dense, over 500 pages. So definitely not something we're going to go through all of today, but the section of it that relates to actions, the action plan, as I just mentioned, we'll be looking at the high priority portions of it. And if you're interested, you can always go to Bridgewater's website. I will be working with the department to have a copy of that plan posted to the website for anyone's review and the draft. And then we also have, later on, I'll mention that there's a survey if you want to get involved. Some of the pictures I shared earlier were from residents that were able to take the survey and provide some of the pictures of natural disasters that have happened in the area. So as it comes to the mitigation plans, this section is global cross-cutting hazard mitigation actions. I won't read through everything, but the first part is a comprehensive emergency management plan. And what that means is continue to develop internal protocol, policies, and procedures for logistical management and resource support during disasters, recovery, communications, that sort of thing. The next thing is infrastructure, capital project, and preparedness and response. What that means is obtain funding to supply shelters with food, water, and resources, recruit volunteers to assist the shelters. And, please feel free to, stop me if you have a question or interject. All right, so the third one here is Local Emergency Planning Committee, or LEPC. Create an emergency response network and a medical professional network to coordinate professional and volunteer-based emergency and medical response teams. And just to, as I said, I'm just kind of reading the action descriptions, but I'll just kind of go through one set of this so that people know what it is, and then I'll just keep going through just the title and the description. So we have included in there like the lead department, the partners, the cost, the potential funding sources, the hazards, the type of mitigation project, the critical facility protection, the community components, and the implementation schedule. So something like this, as it relates to the local emergency planning committee, would be like police and fire department, potentially the highway department, the COA, CERTS, that kind of thing. And then it also shows like which of the goals that we talked about are incorporated into this. So this one incorporates goals 1, 2, and 4. Just an overview, and then I'll just kind of run through the rest of them. So the fourth action plan is a multi-department review of subdivision and site plan review applications. And that means multiple departments within town review and comment on site plans before development, most effective for new construction. Some of these things are things that are in place, but may need to be reviewed and improved or enhanced. And so that's what we kind of use as talking points and part of the action plan. 5, conduct one exercise annually involving members of the public regarding the 4 phases of emergency management. So increase public understanding of each person's role during a disaster, including public health issues such as pandemics. Record information from the exercise for broadcast on public access television and on the town website, which is exactly what we're doing today. So it's a good thing that we're kind of involved in it. 6, mass gathering plan. So develop a plan that includes policies, procedures, and protocols for conducting mass gathering events. So say there's, an annual celebration or a concert that's going on, what do you guys, have in place for that, and what happens in the event of a disaster. And so that was one section that had a list of the highest priorities. If you want to go back, there's some kind of like mid-level priorities and then low-level priorities. So it's a pretty comprehensive list. So this section is related to inland flooding as it relates to the action plan. So floodplain education and awareness. Develop education and outreach to residents living in flood-prone areas and that have risk to exposure, such as flood insurance, and then also target renters as well as property owners. Sometimes the rental community is unaware of these things until it's too late, and then on the homeowner side, it's not until the insurance policy goes up that they come knocking and they're trying to figure out what's going on. So if we can kind of get ahead of that and alert the public, everyone would be in a better place. So identify flood prone areas and conduct an inventory of culverts and bridges. Create a prioritization plan to improve infrastructure and lessen the likelihood of loss due to climate change. Culvert maintenance and repair plan with long-term implementation. So thinking about resizing or replacing different infrastructure, as mentioned, looking at green infrastructure, low impact, and other nature-based solutions. Where can you incorporate rain gardens or swales and stuff like that? So just thinking about that. And so this part is in line with the flooding hazards, but it also has to do with dam failure. So this one's specific removal of the High Street Dam and Bridge Replacement Project is a high priority for the town of Bridgewater. The dam and bridge impede migratory fish passage, interrupts natural river processes, and contribute to local flooding. So what is, I know the town has been working on that over the years, so figuring out kind of where along the plan that is and how can we incorporate that into hazard mitigation planning. Let's see. Next is this section is drought hazards. So identify and protect water supplies for time of drought. I had mentioned earlier that July was one of the wettest months on record, but with a change in climate, that means large rain events within one period of time, followed by not as much possibly droughts or and stuff afterwards. So it's just figuring out how to work with our changing climate. So investigate a need for emergency water supply interconnections for drinking water supply to restore more natural flows to the water system. Water supply ownership must require maintenance to ensure drinking water purposes. The next one is to research options, cost, funding, and acquisition of backup water resources, including increasing storage capacity. So looking at different long-term water line infrastructure, looking into dead-end water lines, the length of pipes, and the treatment and testing of water treatment, if that makes sense. And the next one, it's the same thing. So we'll go to the next. The next category is hurricane and tropical storm hazards. So this next action is vulnerable trees, inventory and maintain street tree canopy. There's a significant tree exposure. If there is significant tree exposure to hurricane wind forces in Bridgewater, how do you kind of prepare for that? And I know that the town has a tree warden, and there have been talks about looking at the maintenance of trees. So this could tie into something like this. Let's see. The next section is vector-borne disease and pandemics. We're in one right now. So this section is disaster financial management team. That action would be to establish a multidisciplinary team of planners, grant managers, and financial managers, subject matter experts to develop a disaster financial management plan before an incident occurs and help execute it following a disaster, a critical step post-disaster, even if the town does not take this approach pre-disaster. When March of last year happened, it was, everything kind of shut down and people were figuring stuff out. So how do we plan ahead in case something like this happens again, once we are able to even get out of what we're in right now? So just figuring out how to plan better for a better future. This next section is zoning and regulatory hazard mitigation and climate adaptation actions. So stormwater management in new development and redevelopment. This description would be to include a requirement that new development and redevelopment stormwater management BMPs be optimized for phosphorus removal with nature-based solutions. And so that's, that would be planning department, planning board, your town engineer, and different, the building department would be involved in something like that, and so on and so forth. And so that kind of covers the all of the high level risks that were looked at in the action plan. If you guys have any questions or comments related to that, please let me know. We definitely want to hear from as many people in the community as possible before we finalize this plan. So we're still definitely encouraging people to take our survey. It's about 10 minutes of your time, and it'll greatly help figure out what's going on in the future for Bridgewater as it relates to hazard planning, natural disasters that come through the town. We want your opinion. You can follow this link right here, or if you're watching the video, you can just take a snapshot of the QR code here, and it'll take you to the survey. So yeah, thank you. That was the presentation. I didn't want to run through every part of it because it can be pretty intense, but we will have the actual plan, the draft plan posted, and then we'll also have the survey available. There's a website that's for that. And then if you have any questions or concerns, you can contact the Community and Economic Development Office at 508-697-0950 or email at ced@bridgewaterma.org. And so that pretty much wraps up my presentation. And if anyone has any comments or questions, I'm happy to, myself or Lori is happy to answer them.
Hey, thanks very much, Elijah. That was perfect. If we have like minor little edits, should we forward those to you or should we give them to Jasmine? How do you want to handle those?
You can forward them to me directly if you want to. That's fine. Or Jasmine, whichever way we'll get.
Okay. Would it be more helpful if we got together and went through any edits that we thought were necessary and then sent them to you as a package, or just have everybody have at it?
Yeah, I think the former would probably be better. Yes. So if you could consolidate, that would be greatly appreciated.
All right. Oh, that's perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, my mantra is don't push a meeting too long if you don't need to. So I appreciate everyone's time, and we'll definitely have this recording on for folks that missed the beginning or want to figure it out. We also have a listening session that was taken in September, and we'll be planning for one in the coming weeks or the month to come. So happy holidays to folks, and we'll be talking soon.
Thanks, Elijah.
Thanks, Elijah.
Thanks, Elijah. God bless. Good luck with the baby.
Thank
Yes. Happy holidays.
you.
Thank you, Elijah. Happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you.